Good evening, everyone. The ISIS threat has been dominating the news recently, and just this week a group called for attacks on Americans back here in the homeland. And that got us wondering, are people here feeling a little bit unsettled about all this that's happening? We go live now to Pocatello to Local News 8's Caitlin Lukitas, where she spoke with community members to hear their thoughts on the threat of ISIS. So, Caitlin, you also spoke to some experts as well. Do they think we're facing another possible terrorist attack here in the U.S.?
Well, Jay, that's right. I did speak with a local political science professor today who also happens to be an expert on the issue, and he says that we could start seeing local ISIS militants start popping up here in the U.S., and that's the real threat that we're going to start facing. But as far as something as large scale as 9/11, well, that's very, very unlikely that we'll see something as large as that happen anytime soon, because he says that ISIS really hasn't organized to that level, at least not yet.
ISIS would like nothing better than for the United States to send ground forces in, because they've seen our record in Lebanon, they've seen our record in Afghanistan, they've seen our record in Iraq. We're never in for the long haul.
Idaho State University political science professor Dr. Sean Anderson says the growing Islamic military insurgency known as ISIS won't end anytime soon. He says sending American troops into Syria to fight is the wrong move.
The U.S. role should be to provide material, intelligence, maybe military advisors, but not troops. Let the Muslim nations provide their troops to deal with Muslim problems.
He says the best way to handle the situation is to keep our troops off the ground, but assist indirectly by providing aid to nearby countries. He says only 10% of terrorist actions can be solved with military force, and if the U.S. is too quick to react involving our troops, we could be facing a larger problem.
And then they can frame it in terms of the West, the Crusaders, the Zionists, the Christians versus Islam, and then try to rally more legitimacy and support throughout the Muslim world.
He says a growing concern is that many of these grassroots ISIS efforts in the Western world come with clean records, so the FBI won't have any files on them. But he says a terrorist attack here on U.S. soil is unlikely, since ISIS hasn't had enough time to develop infrastructure to plan an attack.
And Anderson says the price of gas is not expected to change anytime soon, but the price of, the amount of oil exports and imports could be impacted if, in fact, ISIS does capture Kuwait. Reporting live in Pocatello, I'm Caitlin Lukitas.
Thank you, Caitlin. Today, the Associated Press is reporting a coalition of 5 Arab nations have now joined the U.S. in strikes in Syria. Well, time